The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to Albany County News. I'm Mary Rozak, the Director of Communications for Albany County. And in the next half hour, we are going to talk about nutrition. I know, it's not a four-letter word, but I know some of us don't think about nutrition the way we really should. And March is National Nutrition Month. So here to talk about what nutrition is and how we should be approaching our diets is Hannaford Dietitian Fran Weiss. Welcome, Fran.
Thank you for having me.
So we have a little prop here. We have a little plate. Tell me first and foremost, what is so important about this plate?
So this is called My Plate. It's the government recommendation of how we should eat every day. Actually, this looks like a children's plate, a size plate, because it's so colorful.
Sure.
But actually, this is an adult-sized plate.
Okay.
So this is the way we should all eat. And it kind of divides the plate into sections. Half of our daily intake should be from fresh fruits and vegetables. We get all the antioxidants and vitamins and minerals we need. A quarter of the plate, as you can see, would be a healthy protein like chicken, fish, beans, cheese. Another quarter of the plate would be whole grain, mostly whole grains. And that would be a balanced way of eating. What's not shown here on the My Plate recommendations by the government is milk or dairy products on the side. So in addition to this plate, we should have a cup next to it with some dairy product or yogurt. It doesn't have to be a drink.
So tell me, when we look at this plate, and you say it's an adult-sized plate, is it just the portion size that would be different for a child or for a senior?
Correct. The difference would be absolutely in the portion size.
Okay, but not the way it's divided up, what we need to eat.
No. So for the general population, this is the way we should be eating every day. For the diabetic population, we usually recommend half the plate be vegetables instead of half fruits and vegetables, and have some fruit on the side for dessert. So that would be the only main difference.
Okay. So when I look at this plate, is this, we should have a plate like this for 3 meals a day? I mean, that seems a little, I
know what you mean. Yeah. Usually, breakfast time is actually one of the best ways to most people get their good nutrition in with oatmeal and berries. So we don't actually have to eat on a plate like that, but just trying to, getting some protein, fruit, grains. We are eating a variety.
But getting all of the food groups at every meal.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be the way to do it.
All right. So help me with this one, because the food group with protein or meat for breakfast, number one favorite is bacon, and I don't think bacon is truly on this plate.
Truly, bacon is not on that plate. So bacon is, if you have space in your diet in terms of calories or other dietary restrictions, bacon on occasion is okay. We all eat to enjoy life,
Sure.
But my recommendation is to minimize foods that are extra salty and extra fatty in our diet that are not really healthy for our body.
Yeah, there is a saying that we should eat to live, not necessarily live to eat.
Correct.
And there is a difference. So let's talk a little bit before we get into some of the other props and things that we have here, so we can show people what you're talking about. Let's talk about what nutrition really is. I mean, when we hear the word nutrition, it's like that high level word, right? We think, okay, it must be healthy diet. Is that exactly what nutrition is, or what really does nutrition mean, and eating nutritiously?
Eating nutritiously is what keeps our bodies healthy and functioning at a high energy level. When we think about diet, all that diet really means is the way we eat. So however you eat is your diet, however I eat is my diet. The number one diet this year is the Mediterranean diet.
Now tell me exactly, what is the Mediterranean diet?
So the Mediterranean diet mostly focuses on healthy fruits and vegetables, whole grains, pretty much similar to the My Plate, limiting meat. Meat is kind of like sweets in moderation. It does encourage wine, which a lot of people like some red wine in their diet to prevent heart disease. But you don't even really have to have wine. So if you're not a wine drinker, you shouldn't really start drinking wine. But grape juice would be just as good in terms of the antioxidants to help prevent heart disease. So the Mediterranean diet has a lot of foods that we might see on the Mediterranean if we're living on the Mediterranean, like assorted fish, high in omega fatty acids, healthy nuts, whole grains, fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
So it's very similar to the My Plate.
Let me ask you this. It seems to be sometimes cyclical in what's, at the top of the list or the most important, or what is trending, I guess, to say. So the Mediterranean diet is very popular right now. But it was popular before, and then there were other diets that came in, and there was, I can't think of the name of it, but where you eat all proteins, where you eat a lot of meat. Maybe it was Atkins, I think maybe. Right. How is it? Is this, when you're talking about the Mediterranean diet, this sounds like it is a heart-healthy, physician-recommended diet, as opposed to some of the others that are, fad and non-fat based, right?
So I would guess some of the other diets you're talking about were not really the number one government-recommended healthiest diets. It might have been the most popular. Sometimes people choose foods and diets based on their desire to lose weight. And if there was one specific diet that was the best to lose weight, we would not have so many different diets. But the best way to actually lose weight is portion control with a varied diet. We get all our vitamins and minerals. And so, as we mentioned, the Mediterranean diet is the number one diet, which it's been combined with the DASH diet, which is the dietary approaches to hypertension. Okay. They've been tied for first place as the most nutritious diets. And now Mediterranean takes number one and DASH number two, but they're very close together. As a matter of fact, the Mediterranean diet is not just good for preventing heart disease, it's also good for brain health and weight control.
Well, we mentioned hypertension, and, recently in the news, we have heard that, it's astounding. The number, it's like something like 50% of Americans now across the country have some form of high blood pressure.
High blood pressure and prediabetes, it's really becoming epidemic, and it's really sad. So the important thing to do is eat this way, whole foods, fruits and vegetables, and to read food labels. I always say that the number one error that people make when they read food labels is
counting calories.
Counting calories is a big one. But the number one error really is that people do not read the labels. So you really need to turn the product around to see what's in there, because if something says low fat, that does not mean that it's low sugar, and vice versa. Many people see a label that says low gluten, and all of a sudden they think that means healthy, but things that are low gluten might be low gluten or no gluten, but it still might have sugar and fat.
Well, you know what I'm surprised at? Because I know we need to maintain in our household a low sodium diet. So I am so surprised when I'll see something marked low sodium, and I'll turn, and I'm a label reader, so I will turn the label around, and I will look at the regular, maybe let's say a can of soup, which is a bad example of very high sodium in general, but I'll look, and there's very little difference. And so it really is surprising that something can say low sodium when there really will be truly a low sodium product that on the shelf that I have found. For instance, chicken broth. Good basis for soup on a cold day when you're making homemade soup, and yet there is a world of difference in the sodium, even between the low sodium products.
Absolutely. That's why you always need to read the label.
So what you read the label, tell me specifically, some of those things, you can't even pronounce some of the things that are on the labels either.
Well, usually if you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't have it, but that doesn't always go. If you have any questions shopping in Hannaford, the dietitians are in many of our Hannaford supermarket stores. We'd be happy to help you navigate those labels. But anything with the word sodium in it would just must imply to you that there's some high sodium food. Looking at the sodium content on the label, on the nutrition facts label, it'll tell you how many milligrams of sodium there are in the portion. So it's really important to look at that portion size and to see how much sodium there is. So for the general population, we usually think about 1 teaspoon total sodium a day, and that would come out to 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. That's for the healthy population without high blood pressure, without heart disease. People with high blood pressure are generally recommended 1,500 milligrams, but you do need to speak to your physician to see what your actual recommendation is. So if you think about it, 2,300 milligrams, if you think of a baking teaspoon when you're baking, that little teaspoon, that's how much sodium or salt we should actually have in a day. 1 teaspoon of salt. And that includes processed food, the soups, and if you add it up, if you just keep a tally, instead of tallying your calories every day, just tally how much sodium you're having, you'll be surprised. Once you hit over 2,300, it'd be really good to moderate what you're eating and check some labels.
Sure. So you're a dietitian with Hannaford. Do you go travel across many stores, or are you based in one store?
I'm based in 2 different stores, in Colonie on the Wolf Road store and also in Albany on Central Avenue, but many supermarkets do have Hannaford dietitians available to help you. The way to find one is to go to Hannaford's website, and you will find where the dietitians are located and the days they'll be there. You could also send an email to the dietitians and make an appointment or ask a question.
So when people come, and I'm assuming they do come to see you and ask questions, what is one of the most common questions that you're asked?
I think the most common problem these days is diabetes. So looking for sugar content. And finding out what different foods, contribute to their sugar intake. One of the most recent questions this week, several times people have asked me about honey. They said, well, I've become diabetic, recently diagnosed, but I can have honey, right? But honey is the same as sugar. Sugar, maple syrup, it's all sugar content that a diabetic needs to watch. So we do look at labels. Sugar content on the nutrition facts labels is usually listed in grams. So it's kind of hard to visualize grams of sugar, what that really means. So I'd like to take labels and explain to people how to convert the grams of sugar into teaspoons of sugar. Okay. So what you do is you divide by 4. There are 4 grams of sugar in 1 teaspoon. So if something said there's 20 grams of sugar, you would divide by 4, and you'd be swallowing down 5 teaspoons in that 1 serving. And if something said, well, actually this 1 container is 4 servings, then you'd be multiplying those number of teaspoons by 4. So that's 20 teaspoons you'd be swallowing down. A teaspoon is the same as a packet of sugar you might get when you buy coffee. Those little packets, it's 1 teaspoon. So very rarely would you want to swallow down 20 packets in a row.
Yeah, I would think not. So also, when it comes to giving that basic information, how easy is it? Do people really understand when you? It's very understandable when you say, and relatable when you say it's like that 1 packet when you're out getting coffee. Are you able to make those kinds of comparisons so that people really
That's what we
relate?
try to do, to make sure that people understand, and if they don't understand, how to make it more understandable. We do try to make things as clear as possible. Nutrition labels can be very confusing. We have new nutrition facts labels that are now voluntary. They should be coming out in the future, but some companies do use it where they'll show us added sugars instead of total natural sugars. So we talk about the difference between that. Different nutrients are listed now. So it is kind of hard to navigate food labels when they're different from product to product. Sure. But we do talk about reading the labels.
And it is hard when we're talking about portion size. Sometimes people, as you just mentioned, you get a can of something or a jar of something, and you really have to look how many servings.
It's very important because when it says a serving, that's not necessarily the recommended serving. That's what the serving size is that the nutrition facts is based on. So some companies might want to show that it has a lot of vitamin C, so the serving size might be really large. Whereas if somebody wanted to show that the sodium was really low, it might be a really low serving size. So it's actually the nutrition facts relate to the size that they're relating to, not necessarily how much you should eat. The new nutrition facts labels that are partially already starting to come out will be more consistent between products, and also will reflect what people usually eat, not what you should eat. So the current ice cream serving size will increase, not because we should be eating more ice cream as a portion, because people usually do eat more. We'll also have some new, so you might already notice on some products, the nutrition facts label is divided in half, saying this is what a portion size would have, and then have a line if it's a type of portion that looks like you might drink the whole thing or eat the whole thing. And this is how many calories, sodium, sugar, if you ate the whole thing. And the fonts will be bigger, so you can see how many calories you're actually taking in. So it'll be divided in half. Many people look straight, like you're saying, not really looking at the serving size, and might think, wow, this 25 portion item only has 10 calories.
Yeah, this is great. I can
eat as much as I want.
Have this whole thing.
Yes.
We are talking today with Hannaford Dietitian Fran Weiss, and we are talking about nutrition. It is National Nutrition Month in March, and normally there had been a theme for National Nutrition Month. I remember, for years and years, and doing events, doing things with the county based on the theme. No theme this year.
This year, we're basically promoting National Nutrition Month. That is the theme this year. It covers all bases of nutrition, so we're not focusing on any area specifically. Nutrition is important for people of all ages and in all circumstances. Not that the slogans in the past didn't incorporate everybody. In the past, we had put your best foot forward, go further with food, eat from the ground up. We had some very interesting slogans, but this year we're just going with National Nutrition Month. It makes it easy to remember.
It certainly does. But there are all kinds of things, as you mentioned, at Hannaford. There are ways. There's labeling that can
I just want to say one thing about that plate before you put it away.
Okay, let me.
What I usually say about the My Plate, recommended government recommendations for eating is My Plate your plate. That's what I want it to be.
Okay.
So that's what I want to say about My Plate. My plate should be your plate.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's not my plate. And it should be my plate. And I realize when I look at it, all of the different things that what I'm not necessarily doing. But
so Mary, this will be your plate when you
Okay, so now we're going to talk about, you're going to show us the Guiding Stars.
So Guiding Stars is a program that Hannaford Supermarket has where foods are rated with 1, 2, or 3 stars. Okay. Healthy, healthier, and healthiest.
Okay.
So if something has vitamins, minerals, fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, the product will gain a star. If a product has too much sodium or fats, artificial color, the product, saturated fats, too much sugar, the products will lose a star.
Okay, so what do we start with? Do we start with a certain amount of stars?
We don't start with anything.
We start with nothing.
We start with nothing. It goes into a computerized equation.
Okay.
And all the information is fed into the equation, so it's not really visually computed by any one dietitian. It goes right into a computerized logarithm. And once all the information is put into the equation, we come up with number of stars. So if something has, as I mentioned, vitamins, minerals, also fiber, that product will get stars. So for example, this product of shredded wheat is whole grain. It doesn't have any extra sodium or sugars. On here we can look at the total fat is only 1 gram, saturated fat is 0, sodium is 0, it has great fiber, dietary fiber is 6 grams, anything over 3 is great. This has 6 grams, so we can see that this product would receive 3 guiding stars. I don't know if you can see that on the box. It's also on the side. You see that little person there with the 3 stars?
I see a little person with 3 stars. Okay.
And if you turn it on the side, the packages will describe what the Guiding Star program is. I don't know if we could see it better on here, but it's also, this is a bigger, you can see the Guiding Stars, 3 stars.
So we can actually see, we see 3 stars.
And some people actually shop with the stars when they're first beginning to shop healthy before you start reading labels. Many people love shopping the stores. It just makes shopping easier. Just looking at the food tags, it's not only Hannaford products that are rated, all the products in the store are rated.
So for non-Hannaford products, for other products, is it actually on?
No, it'll be on the price tag.
Okay.
And if you don't see a rating, either the product has not been rated yet, because supermarkets are constantly getting new products all the time. So maybe it hasn't been rated yet, or maybe it really doesn't deserve stars. Maybe it has too much salt or too much sugar. So that's why you should go turn it around and look at the ingredients to see why it may not. If you have any questions at all, always again ask the dietitian why this isn't received. Yeah, it could always be an error. Please let me know if you find an error. We love to see if there's maybe the shelf tag wasn't put up yet, but sometimes something may not have been put into the equation by mistake, or the company may not have written down exactly everything that's in there. But that is a great way to shop with the stars.
All right. Well, let me move the stars out of the way, and let me bring up a shopping cart, a mini shopping cart that you would absolutely love, right?
I would love that shopping cart.
We have a shopping cart here filled with, there we go, if I get it. There, I get it just right. And now I can't see you, but let's talk about what is in the shopping cart and why some of these things are very good to have on our plates.
So this shopping cart is filled with fruits and vegetables of different colors. We have another one right down there with a yellow. So we talk about eating from the rainbow from the produce department. And we talk about eating from the rainbow. We're not talking about candies, like different color candies or
no Skittles.
No Skittles, no colored nice birthday cakes. But basically from the fruit and vegetable department, we want to eat from every color. And the reason we want to eat from every color is because actually, all fruits and vegetables have vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, but each color, each pigment that gives the fruit or vegetable a color is associated with a different main source of an antioxidant.
Okay, so some of my favorites we just put up here, berries.
Berries have great antioxidants, great for memory, great for keeping your body healthy, fighting free radicals in your body. Fighting sometimes where there's tobacco in the air or pollution, having too much insulin in your body is inflammation as well, person with insulin resistance. So we're trying to overcome free radical damage with antioxidants.
Okay. So the yellow that I brought up here is a squash, correct? Oh, a spaghetti squash.
This is a spaghetti squash. And again, we're eating with different colors because each color will have different antioxidants. Spaghetti squash is great. Once you cook it and it softens up, you just cut the spaghetti squash in half and you take the seeds out, which you can also roast, and scrape the spaghetti squash with a fork and you'll have strands of spaghetti. And people enjoy this instead of having pasta. Yeah.
You know, I've got to say, I am a fan of spaghetti squash. I have done the spaghetti squash, like spaghetti with the marinara sauce on it. It's not bad. It's not pasta, but it is very tasty. And so to have that as a regular part of your diet.
It's a great part of your diet. You add some extra vitamin A. Again, any yellow squash or anything yellow that has vitamin A, the darker it is, the more vitamin A it has. So if you have a squash that sits on your counter for a while, it gets darker and darker as it sits, so it's actually developing more vitamin A. So it's actually good to get some winter squashes because they last a long time, and as you keep them a couple of weeks, they'll even have more vitamin A.
But I'm going to tell you something. I would probably eat more of it if it weren't so darn hard to cut to get into. What are some of the, I mean, can you make a recommendation when it comes to cooking something like that?
Well, what I usually do is I will prick the outside of a hard squash like that and put it in the microwave to soften up.
Okay, but how long will you put it in the microwave
Just for a few minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes to soften up, and then I'd be able to slice it easier because the skin is softer, and if I wanted to broil it or bake it, I could slice it then, or I could just actually prepare the whole thing in the microwave and then cut it when it's finished. But make sure to prick it first so it doesn't explode in your microwave.
Well, sure, we wouldn't want that. No. I'm a huge fan of butternut squash, and yet it is just so hard. Peeling it is not an option. Trying to cut it is not an option. I had a sister-in-law who told me a little trick in the microwave how to do it, but it's never come out quite the way she does it. So, but no, that's actually a good idea. A couple of minutes in the
microwave is a great
soften.
idea. You could also prick it also and just put it in the oven, the butternut squash. It'll soften up. You don't have to slice it first.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always a little leery about everything exploding. I'm not known for remembering when something is going to be done, so exploding everywhere would be a problem. So when we're taking a look too, we have some oranges here, we have some lettuce, we have some avocados.
So avocados are one of the few or only produce items that have healthy fats in them, monounsaturated fats. So they're a great option. They have good nutrients, other nutrients as well. One thing to remember about avocados is how to cut them. Make sure you're not holding the avocados in your hand and slicing, because many people are getting injured that way.
Yeah,
Making sure to keep your avocado right on the table when you're slicing.
Okay.
Cut one way, then cut the other way.
Okay.
When it's ripe, and then you could twist it. Then you have the two
I'm
halves.
going to have to try that because I know I'm always cutting them in my hand.
No, don't do it. Yes, that's very dangerous. But that, I always say, safety is more important than any diet. You don't want to get hurt. You don't want to get food poisoning. So that would come first. But the healthy fats in avocados are good for many reasons. If you add some healthy fats to your salad, like we have the greens there with the salad, it will increase the absorption of the vitamins in your salad.
Oh, wow.
So that's a good thing. Also, the monounsaturates are good for heart health, also good on a weight control diet. It increases satiety. The fat value will increase the satiety of what you're eating. I had one customer tell me that she's been eating one avocado a day for 2 years since the first day I showed her how to open one, and she's lost all the desired weight that she wanted to lose.
Well, you know what? I'm taking that avocado home with me. Thank you very much.
With the plate. It'll fit right on
It'll
the
fit
green
on
section of the plate.
It'll fit on my plate. Well, Fran, we've got to have you back soon because we didn't even touch the surface of everything that we wanted to talk about. And there are all kinds of things that Hannaford offers and that we can take advantage of.
Yes.
With you as a dietitian. So I'm going to have you back again soon.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have been talking with Hannaford Dietitian Fran Weiss. I'm Mary Rozak. This has been Albany County News. We'll see you again soon.